If you're someone that is struggling with aim or anything in Modern Warfare 3 to do with settings, graphics, FPS, or just even genuine controller settings, you are in the right place right now. As someone that's come from a Modern Warfare, like a competitive background in 4v4, hardpoint and all that type of stuff, and also a Warzone professional, I've got the right settings for you to turn your aim into an absolute god. So first of all, right now, we are going to start in with the actual controller settings. Obviously, this is a controller-based video mainly. But right now, we're just going to start off with the basics. So right now, we've got the edit button layout. I play tactical flip. It allows me to use the right thumbstick right here on my GAMENETICS controller to allow me to slide. So I'm not using circle. Obviously, my two thumbs are never off the analog stick. So it allows me to play tactical flipped. Now, flipped is obviously means that I use L1 and R1 to shoot as well, rather than L2 and R2. Again, this is mainly preference. Some people play default. I play tactical flipped. I think it's a bit easier. Again, maybe change between the both. I know some people actually play bumper jumper as well, which is also another good alternative if you don't have a controller like GAMENETICS with the little paddles at the back, for example, as well. So, you know, play around with it. Find what's best for you. Now, I don't have bumper ping on. I haven't flipped. Again, I use L1 and R1. But if you're, obviously, the back bumpers using L2 and R2, again, personal preference, try between the both. Stick layout, I say, is default. So people also do change this. I know a few people that play Legacy, which in my head, I kind of wrap the round way over it. Like, it is very confusing when I see people use that. I would highly recommend sticking to default. Controller vibration off. This is a really big one. A lot of people play with it on and don't actually realize the implication it has on your aim. If you have it on, sometimes you have the issue of where, like, the controller's vibrating too much and your little right thumb can, like, kind of go off center. And it can be quite weird to have that, like, kind of functioning in your aim. So I turn it off to kind of have less input out of anything, like any external input, all that type of stuff. So definitely have it off. Again, you don't need to change your settings when it's off. Trigger effects, have it off as well. Don't like it on personally. Dead zones. This is a really hot topic, right, in a scene. I see a lot of explanation of dead zones in my chat and other people's chats as well. Now, dead zone is very, very specific to your controller. I do have step drift on my controller, which is that's why I have it as 4. The most important is the trigger ones. Have that on 0. And that is also just basically from the release of your triggers, essentially. So basically, as soon as you press it down, it triggers it immediately. If you have it on higher, then it means that obviously there's a delay from your trigger. Using pistols, for example, or marksman rifles, or battle rifles, or even sniper rifles, you're going to notice a difference if it's on a high setting. Whack it down to a 0. Again, left and right stick a minimum. It also depends on your control and your stick drift. If you're someone that can't control stick drift, definitely whack it up. If you're someone that you can control stick drift, whack it lower and lower and lower to the point where it doesn't become annoying for you. I'm going to scroll down into the right into aiming. Again, another very important bit. Now, I play 6.6 with a 0.93. As a lot of you guys know on the streams, I always talk about not having a multiplier. Now, I've recently started trying with the multipliers, and I found something that works for me really well. Lower sensitivity in a multiplayer scenario is absolute king. All these 20 cents demons, it may work for them, but 9 times out of 10, you may struggle with it. I am someone that can't play 20 cents on a multiplayer scenario. Can't play on Warzone, but I'll stick to 6.6 no matter what I'm playing. Now, I always say, if you want to try 6.6 with 0.93, try it. It may work out for you, it may not. Alternatively, the way I advise people to do this, start off at 4.4 on both the horizontal and vertical. And if it's too slow, work your way up to 5.5. If it's too slow, work your way up to 6.6, and so forth. Until you find the perfect sense, find the one that works for you, stick with it, and do not change from it. Don't be one of those players like myself who goes through about 20 different settings in the space of a month. Don't do it. Trust me. Find the one and stick with it. I played with 6.6 and 0.93 for about 3 months now. And let me tell you, my aim is becoming absolutely electric. And when I am warmed up and I'm firing on all cylinders, genuinely, I do not miss a bullet. So seriously, try and find the right one for yourself. Again, it might work for you. 10-10 might work for you. 15-15 might work for you. Low sense works for me. It's just who I am. I can control the high sense. I just think personally, if you want to hit most of your shots, 6.6 is the way to go. Sensitivity multiplier, I keep this very default. If you are a sniper based player, Some people play around with these and like, you know, the vehicle sensitivities, like maybe if you're driving around in a vehicle in Warzone, you want to change that around. But this is mainly for multiplayer. I will be making a Warzone one that's a bit different. I do change some of my settings up for Warzone, but you know, in and around that, I keep all this standard as well. Don't like to mess around with it. You know, it's a very, very big blessing that we have all these settings in Call of Duty, but a lot of it doesn't really need to be changed. So yeah. Aim responsive, dynamic. Now this allows people to kind of, you know, when you're working through aim assist, it allows it to be a bit more smoother. Standard's a bit more stickier. Linear is definitely good for sniping. Dynamic's really good for all around. And yeah, and I leave the rest of it very default. You know, aim assist type of default. Some people play around with Black Ops. Again, if you prefer the Black Ops games, definitely try it. Personally, I prefer this. And then gameplay. It is quite simple. All attack sprint, really overpowered. Highly recommend to anybody. All this stuff is quite default until tap to slide. A lot of people do tap to dive. A lot of times stuff. I think tap to slide is most important with slide cancelling being back in the game. And then this is again all very, 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 very default settings. Again, through this, there's not much you need to change. Tactical stance behavior. If you go for camos, I'd put it on ADS melee. You're not really going to be doing that combination very well. So for me, it's L1 and circle, because that's what my melee and aim down sight is. Again, just play around with it. And again, like I said, some of these settings are for Warzone. We're not going to go into them today and why we use them, but that's basically it for the controller settings. Now let's move on to the graphics again. Obviously, I have a 1440p monitor with 240 hertz, so that's kind of quite simple. I'm going to go to the settings that you'll need if you're on a PC or just a console player specifically. Again, this is for controller, but also like console and a PC. There's some of the settings that are a bit different. Again, some of the settings you won't have on a console, some settings you'll have on a PC, you won't have on a console. Just, you know, apply it to whatever works for you. If you're on PC and video, reflex low latency on and boost, definitely really important, reduces latency. VSync needs to be off. Focus mode, I put it on 90. Custom, I have a limited frame rate. Again, if your PC can handle it, definitely do that. Quality, this is very important. Render resolution on 100%. Quite self-explanatory. You don't want pixelated gameplay. Fidelity cast is very important. It allows you to see enemies so much more clearer, especially with the new thing that with CTRL they're implementing with all the red outlines and the enemies. Great addition. I genuinely hope they apply that to Warzone as well. A Fidelity cast will make that a lot better. Now, there are a couple of people that are saying if you've got an NVIDIA GPU, I do as well. You need to try with the NVIDIA settings. I personally don't think it's better. So Fidelity cast with a strength of 100, unreal. Definitely try it. Now, for me, I'm a bit of a frame goblin. If you like quality, definitely don't go with these settings. If you want more frames, definitely copy these settings if you're on PC. You know, very low, quite everything off. Depth of field needs to be off. Most of it on low. On-demand texture streaming, keep that on. And I put it on 32, but some people play with that on 100. I don't know. I kind of played around with it, and this works out best for me personally. You know, shadows all off. Now, environment, I put terrain memory on max, because it allows like the grass and stuff to be a bit better so I can see through it a bit easier. Again, just a little bit of one. Field of view, very big important one. Now, I change this quite often. If I'm playing multiplayer, I change between 120 and also 105. Because it's multiplayer and you're not moving about as much and you're holding angles and all that type of stuff, a low FOV genuinely helps you a bit better. Not 80, because that's really low, which is the default. I would say about 105 to 110 is a very good sweet spot for multiplayer. 120 definitely for BR. I know a lot of professionally Call of Duty players. When I would be playing, I used to play in the console days, so it was capped at 80. A lot of professional Call of Duty players that you see in the league right now will probably play on like 110. Some play on 130. It really does depend on the person. Depends on how quick your brain and your eyes process that information. Again, 105 works for me sometimes. 110 works. 113 works, but also 120 works for me. It really does depend on the day if I'm feeling aware or not. ADS field of view affected. Don't put it on independent. It means that your field of view affects your ADS. Weapon field of view wide, third person field of view 90, motion blur off, very important. All the motion blurs are off. Film grain off. Now, first person camera movement, definitely very important. Put it on 50%. Don't use the default. It means that your gun doesn't shake as much when you're running. 50% is so key, because it means that there's a little going on your screen when you're ready to ADS and shoot your enemies. Now, I'm just going to go to the audio settings quickly. Again, it really does depend on the person. As you guys know, if you watch my streams, I have terrible hearing. My friends, Benny, everybody, Shay, Pete, mate, whoever I'm playing with at the time always complains that my hearing is terrible. And because it is terrible, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It is pretty shocking. So again, I try to work with what's best for me. If you want what I'm using right now, I use IEMs with the Moondrop IEMs connected to a GoXLR. I love IEMs, big advocate for IEMs right now. I used to use Astro headsets, amazing headset, incredible quality. I would say when it comes to headsets and earpieces and all that type of stuff, there is no right or wrong. Use the one that is built for you and try and do as much research as you can possibly. I tried these, spoke to 𝗖cie, the Tactical Brit, and he said these will personally be the best for me, especially as a starter, and I love them. Can't get enough of IEMs. If you're on PC, highly recommend them. If you're on PC, if you're on console and you actually want to try them, obviously they don't have a mic and some do. Do a bit of research. They may work for console. I don't know how good they are, but for me personally, PC IEMs are the way to go. I have audio mix on bass boost. I just love that bassy mix in my ear. I just think it sounds way better. Master volume 100 again. Play around with these at your own sense. Cinematic volume off because sometimes I stream on YouTube. Voice chat down to a minimum. As we know, there's some people that can be very annoying in game chat. I like to minimize that. Gameplay music off. I don't like the gameplay music going on in the background. I think it's a distraction, especially in those clutch moments. You're playing S&D, you're playing Warzone, whatever it may be. Very, very annoying. So yeah, that's on the master volume. Voice chat on. Again, if you want to play with it on, definitely do that. And all this type of stuff is kind of like, it's all subjective to you. I have the subtitles on for multiplayer. Not multiplayer, for campaign, but not multiplayer. Again, I think in multiplayer scenarios, it can be quite distracting. Everybody's different. And the little things, again, this is for me personally. I know I might pronounce this wrong, and I do apologize. Tinnitus, whatever you want to call it. Everybody calls it differently. I have it on. I do have bad tinnitus or tinnitus, and it really does irritate my ears. Have it on if you do have it. That's a setting that is actually on the game. So if you do have it, it is in the game, and it's actually very helpful for those really loud, annoying sounds. You can definitely turn it off. War track as a passenger. Now, I have it on for when I stream on Twitch. When I stream on YouTube, I turn it off. So keep it on. It's pretty hype sometimes. Juggernaut music, again, pretty cool, pretty hype. Hitmarker sounds. I have it on classic. I think classic Hitmarker sounds from the OG games sound amazing. That's just me, personally. Now, these classic sounds are from the, it's Modern Warfare 2, the one that's just come out, but they were originally from, the older games as well. The Modern Warfare 3 ones are pretty cool as well, but I just love the sound of the crisp headshot noise of the older CODs. Again, not much more to them. But yeah, I mean, you can obviously have your quick sense, obviously, around here. I don't know why mouse sensitivity, I used to do that a lot. But again, I play around with these settings. Let me know what you guys think. Again, a lot of these settings are very subjective to you, i.e. some of the controller settings. But I wanted to kind of make this a video explaining to you why they are for the individual, because not many streamers and like myself would talk about it live on the internet, because it requires quite an in-depth talk about it, which I've hoped given a lot of people a lot of clarity here. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And yeah, and that's basically it really. There's one last thing I do want to talk about, and that's color customization. This is for purely visual reasons, and I have the enemies that's a bright pink. That's just because visually it's a bit easier on my eyes, and I can differentiate all the people and the enemies and teammates and all that type of stuff. May work for you, may not. Definitely helps in Warzone. Again, when I do a Warzone controller settings video in about a month's time, I will go through it all again for different settings and the reason why I have what it is. For multiplayer, may work for you, may not. And that's basically it, really. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in regards to the controller settings and the visual settings and all that type of stuff. Let me know how you guys get down in the comment section. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.